Hey guys, my name is Thana and welcome to my channel. Behind me here I have the brand new BMW 320i. Well, the question in everybody's mind is, should I get the 320i or the 330i? Because obviously, as you might know already, both have the same B48 engine, and being the 2-liter engine it is, turbo, all powerful, and it's an engine that's been around for some time. It's been used in the G30, and this generation of the BMW still uses the same engine, but you've got these two different price points here. This BMW, the 320i, comes in at about $240,000, where the 330i comes in at about 280,000 ringgit, if I'm mistaken. So which to get? Let's go have a look now. The BMW 320i. I guess the first question is, how do you know this is a 320i looking at the front? Well, it's quite easy. Maybe, no, yes, well, kind of hard to say. But for me at least, looking from the front, the BMW 3 Series looks pretty much the same, except the bumper. The bumper is what that actually sets it off. If you see down here, you've got this little piece there, and again on this little color here, this is like a navy purplish blue. This little triangle down here, or hammer, or whatever you may call it, is not so visible, and I'll show you a picture of what it looks like on other trim models. But basically, if you get different trims, you get different bumpers, which makes it a little more aggressive and not. What do I think about the design of the headlights? People have been a fan. People have been bashing up the design over here, saying it's angular. Personally, I like it because I believe that a lot of cars now have got that sharp little look to it, to the point that from Audi to, I don't know, to a Hyundai to a Kia, they all have that sharp looking eyes, and BMW has taken their design to something else. It's totally different. This to me, as Con says, this to me brings back the memory of the E46, which I was a great fan of. So to me, yes, I like the fact that this has got a little more squareness, a little more ruggedness, a little more chiseled look to it. Yes, I am a fan of the design. One thing I'm not a fan though is this thing over here. Now, there are design cues here that goes across, and if I were to squat down, yeah, you might be able to get a glimpse here. I guess it's fine from the point of view of trying to give you that angle look. But what happens is when you drive the car, this is so pronounced that when I drive the car, I actually can see that line on my view, and I just think it's quite disturbing. I found this line here looking out from the dash, it's quite disturbing because it just comes out for no apparent reason. Yeah, if you saw that, the car opened by itself because I was getting close to the car. So it has got welcome lights, and especially auto on when you come closer. Let's talk again about the bumper over here. Now, if you see here, these are actually purposeful. There's actually a vent there, and this actually goes around over here to the point it wraps around the tires. See it open again. So when I touch the car, it opens up the car. More about the vents. If we thought that vent was real, well, so are these vents over here. It may look closed here, but at different speed, if I'm not mistaken, these actually open and close to help the car breathe better. And we'll have a look at the engine bay shortly. Now, what else about the design cues? Well, obviously the grille. The grille has changed over time, and I think this more octagon or hexagon shape that it's come to now in the latest iteration, to me, it's quite sexy. What do you think about how the BMW has gone from one generation to another in terms of design? Tell me what you think. Now, we talked about design, and the design is pretty much a BMW design. It's got lights, it's got design cues of a continental car, but from afar, do you think that BMW has done justice in terms of the design? I think so. I think that if you look at the back over here, these lights, the cues that comes out from the car, the way the light comes out and wraps around the body itself over here, I think that's quite nice and sexy. The way this bit here, this is fake by the way, but the way it comes out and again wraps around the body, I think it's quite nice also. It's not purposeful, there's no reason to it, but I think they've done a good job. It just makes the car a little more different. This color though, it's not my favorite color. The color is nice, but somehow on this design, the color makes the line kind of fade into the background. I believe on a brighter color, the BMW will shine, especially with the fact that you've got all these black bits over here. Over here, you've got black bits on the door trim there. Those kind of hide away, and you don't get to see those lines. Again, matter of choice, but that's me. Let's go have a look on the side again. Rims. Well, the BMW M Sport will get bigger rims, different setup, but here we get square rims, square setup. The front and the back are the exactly same setup on 225s, 45 R18s. How are they? I think they're pretty good, and the handling, it's something I'll talk about, because I'll talk about later about how I drove the M Sport 230i and what I felt and what I feel driving this particular version of the BMW 3 Series. In the back, the boot space, wow, it's pretty big. BMW, it's known for being practical, because you know what, you get a sporty car as well, a big boot. No complaints there, except one thing. This is 2020, guys, the year where gadgets are cheap. It's cheap to put in things like power boot, cheap to put in things like, pilot assist and all this nonsense. Gadgetry is something that's a must in today's world. This car, this version of 3 Series that's given to us in Malaysia, lacks that. It lacks gadgetry like you wouldn't believe. It lacks gadgetry like you wouldn't believe. And I'll walk you through what it lacks later. But for everything it lacks, it makes up for in driving pleasure. This is not a car that you will buy. If you want to buy a car for the family and you want a car that sits for comfortably, you want to go long distance and you find that that you need to have your baby sleep on the way there, this isn't it. Because why? By no means is this car pliant, by no means is this car comfortable. This car is truly a driver's car. It takes corners so well. In fact, when my wife and I drove the M Sport version of this car, we felt, wow, the M Sport is so beautiful in handling. Too bad that people can't afford to buy this version because it's pretty expensive. It was $300,000+ when it was launched in Malaysia as a CB unit. But then I drove this car and I was like, oh damn, this is very similar to the M Sport. The handling characteristics, the car's chassis itself is so good, it handles very well. But then again, I wondered, well, if I'm buying an M Sport, I don't mind the fact it's a very sharp handling car. If I were to buy a low-end base spec model, do I want that sharpness? And that's where the problem starts. Because if you have driven other German cars today, a lot of them are very comfortable, are very sleepy, but they have got a duality to the car itself. When you drive the car, initially it'll be quiet, it'll be subtle, it'll be refined, and then there'll be a button which says Sport or says, I don't know, kill me, and the car comes alive. The car will kill you. In this particular version, there is a button which says Sport and Comfort. But when you press that button, it doesn't deliver that. Sport remains Sport, but Comfort, it is not. And that's where my problem starts and continues with the interior. Let me take you inside and show you what I mean. So this is the interior of the car. If you buy the 320i and if you're poor like me and you can't afford the higher spec 333i, you get the 320i. What you get is this. You get this cluster here. Now this cluster may look digital and you're like, wow, this is quite nice. It's a digital cluster. And I turn it off. As you can see, everything goes dark. You think, oh, that's fine. But you'll see very vague, faded lines over here. You think, wow, that's nice. The LCD actually lights up. There's a line there. But you know what? Everything you see here is fake. As in, these are not LCD displays. These are actually like backlit indicators. These are actual physical dials, which actually moves up and down. Nothing here is digital except for the small little piece over here. And to me, at this price point, for a car of this caliber, that's a no-no. In fact, if you think about design of clusters, meter clusters, sorry. A lot of the clusters like Mazda, and again Mazda, it's sad that I might use the word Mazda in comparing how a BMW behaves, but a Mazda tries to ensure that the display, although it's fully digital, it looks analog. You can't tell apart which part is digital, you can't tell apart which part is digital. It's so beautifully built-in, integrated. It's awesome, guys. Go have a look at a Mazda 3 and see the display cluster, and you'll know what I mean. Over here, instead of having a digital cluster trying to look analog, this is an analog cluster trying to look digital, which blows my mind. Why would you do that? But yes, folks, that's what it is. And then you look at small things like, for example, here, locking the door. Yep, someone is in my car and I lock the door, that's fine, And if I hate the fact we've got these kind of buttons in 2020. This came in my Saga, it came in my Vera back then and still here today. But forget about that. But if I were to lock the door and I get out of the car, how does the passenger side unlock the door for all four? They can't, because if you see here, there are missing buttons there. So yes, BMW actually has made a conscious decision to remove those buttons to save cost, which I cannot fathom. Yes, I cannot digest the fact that saved them money. And it goes on. It doesn't stop there, the infotainment system over here, you get a smaller cluster, but I guess this I could live with. It's fine, a smaller cluster, because a smaller screen, because I'm poor and I can't afford the bigger display. But it doesn't come with the fancy, next track, back track, increase volume and lower volume. That kills me, guys. But I must try though. Does it have the hello BMW? Let's try this and see. Hello BMW.
Pardon?
So it does. It does have hello BMW. It does have hello BMW, and I could say drive to Subang Jaya. Let's see what happens.
Only spelling is possible for the selected country.
Oh,
Please spell out the
it's
town.
saying going to Puchong. Okay, let's try again. Drive to Petaling Jaya. Let's try again. Drive to Petaling Jaya.
Only spelling is possible for the selected country. Please spell out.
Oh, only spelling is allowed for the country. So which means in Malaysia, you can't use voice dial to head to a location. That sucks, man. BMW, that sucks, because you know why? I think every other car manufacturer that's premium has the ability to say drive to somewhere. It picks up the voice and able to do so. Here I gotta spell out the word Puchong, Puchong. That sucks, bro. What else? The design of the cluster. Let me just see over here if I can turn this around. Now, this is my view, my point of view. I just think this and this, it's a drab. you got all this real estate over here, and I understand that this is to close and to open. I just think you could have done better. Something else could have come here. I don't know, but it's just seemed a little plain, this and this. And if I were to hide the badge here, and I'll ask you the question, what car am I looking at? And if someone told me this was a Mazda, no, that's not shame Mazda, a Hyundai, I would say, yeah, oh, it's a Hyundai, it looks pretty good now, you know. And that's where the problem starts, because it doesn't have the allure of being luxurious or being German. Because you know what, luxury to me meant BMW, meant Mercedes, meant the Audis of the world. I want to see leather. I don't care if it's the low end or the high end. I want to see something of luxury, because it's a luxury brand. And I know this is the low end spec, I know this is the low end model, but I expected more from this. And this is why I think if you're buying the 3 Series, if you can afford it, guys, go and buy the 330i. The 320i, to me, for the 40,000 ringgit, does not seem to be a good value proposition, for the sheer fact that the final touch on the car, it's missing. That 40,000 ringgit, I think, do make a difference. The package that comes includes the rims, the setup, the other bits and pieces, how there is piped in sound from the engine when you put on sport mode and sport plus. That's it in the 230i. All those things put together, I think it's a worthwhile value to get the 330i compared to the 320i. But what this also tells me is the fact that if you are considering to get a B14 engine, the older F30 now looks like a really good bargain, because this engine has been tested over and over and has been very reliable. You know, I think to consider used BMWs now, it's a good market, because they've come to a point the engines are pretty rock solid. So for that, if you can't afford the 330i and you want to buy this, I say by all means go ahead. But I can't see the difference. I can't see the logic of skipping out 40k to buy this version, just because it reminds you that you just barely made it and couldn't afford to buy the 330i. So again, it's my review. Hope you like it. It's short, it's simple, but it's my take on the car. I got another video out about how this car performs against a older F30. We do a drag race. So again, stay tuned and have a look at that video. Thank you.